Welcome to the Fantasy Champions Fantasy Football Podcast. Here's your host, Morgan Colby and Rick Lemon.
What's poppin', Fantasy Champs?
What's going on?
Hopefully you enjoyed our Julio Jones show on Tuesday, but we are back to our regularly scheduled event.
Yes,
podcast,
our regularly scheduled program.
Anyway, so we have running back sleepers today. We're going to go through some running back sleepers. I think on Tuesday of next week we do wide receiver sleepers, and then we do some boring but tight end sleepers. Yeah. I don't even think we're doing a tight end sleeper show. I don't even want to waste my time, but I feel like it's important, so we might just do it for 3. I don't remember what I have.
That's gross, but fair.
We'll tell you in that show who, I have breakout tight ends, though, that I like. So,
yeah, we got to do that.
Anyway, so running back sleepers is what we're going to talk about today. My name is Morgan Colby. I got Rick Lemon with me as always.
What's going on?
Before we jump into our main event, check out our website, thefantasychampions.com. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Just search The Fantasy Champions. You'll find us. If you're listening on a podcast platform, please leave a review. Share this podcast with your friends. And if you have the ability to subscribe, just hit the subscribe button and you'll get notifications that say, hey, stupid, they posted a podcast.
Yeah, word for word.
If you are watching on YouTube, subscribe, click the bell for notifications, and then like and comment down below. Anything you want to comment, any questions. I feel like all you guys do is jump in videos and just leave hate. So let's change the pace.
Is that true? Is that really true?
Sometimes. Yeah, it's complaining about our takes. And I'm like, well, you go complain somewhere else.
Bro,
actually,
that's what the comments are
I'll
for.
take the comment.
I was just going to say.
Tell me I'm ugly. Do it.
Well, that's just me.
Anyway.
Not even anti-take. That's just anti-person.
Some people really take it personal, though, when you like a player and they don't. Like, wow, okay. Jeepers, creepers.
That's fantasy football, man.
We yelled at each other for a good chunk of time about Mac Jones.
Yeah, we did.
Our friendship took a hit.
Life, when it comes to quarterback position.
Anyway, so what was I going to say? I don't even remember.
Dude, draft guide?
Okay, draft guide. Thank you. So we announced on Tuesday the draft guide. It is coming out on July 9th, and you have 20-something days now to pre-order this draft guide. I don't want to count. It might be 28, but
yeah. Well, you can start pre-ordering it tomorrow.
You can start pre-ordering it literally tomorrow. So pre-order the draft guide, $9.99. You get dynasty and redraft rankings, breakouts, busts, sleepers, player projections, much more. You got to buy it literally when it opens up, because if you don't, you're going to be lame and you're going to lose your fantasy league and you're going to be like, why didn't I buy that draft guide?
Yep.
Why did I waste $45 on a draft guide that didn't help me win when you could have just spent 10 and won?
Yeah.
Easy money.
Yep.
And then July 9th is when it launches.
Yeah. I said this on Tuesday, but I'll probably say this every show. A lot of work is going to get put into it. A lot of work was put into it last year, and there's going to probably be even more stuff this year. So you're really missing out if you don't buy it. It's only $9.99.
Agreed. Let's talk about our running back sleepers. This is a hard show because running backs after the first 3 rounds,
there's a reason we're
4 rounds. First 4 rounds is garbage. It's hot garbage. But we're going to give you maybe some gems that you can snag
for you 0 running back people.
That you can snag a little bit later in the draft that might help you win. And some of them are a little bit higher in ADP than I would like for sleepers, but there's literally, if you go in the late rounds of the draft and you try to find sleepers, good luck, friend. So we're going to start off the show with Ronald Jones once again.
He was on this list last year, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think so. I think he was on this list last year. Now, the unfortunate part for Ronald Jones is that they did re-sign
Leonard
Fournette, and Fournette actually went bonkers, absolutely bonkers in the postseason. And what do they call him? Playoff Lenny.
Playoff Lenny.
They made T-shirts for Barstool. Playoff Lenny. It is an interesting environment. But anyway, so Ronald Jones last year, there were games where he had like a ton of opportunity, like literally started the season 17 carries, 3 targets, 2 catches, 19 total touches, 82 yards. Didn't score a touchdown, so didn't get the fantasy point output that you would like. But he had a pretty darn good game for the most part in the first game. And then, like you saw, then all of a sudden next game was like Leonard Fournette was the guy. And
when Ronald Jones started
7
last
carries.
year, he was very good.
Yeah.
And I think I want to say he started more than
Mm-hmm.
Fournette did in the regular season. He played more. And then obviously the playoffs happened and Fournette got majority of the work. But in the regular season, they really do ride the hot hand. And I think Ronald Jones is somebody who he's a good late round value because if you do take him there, he has that RB1 potential week in and week out. If you know he's going to start before a game, like it's boom, here's your starting running back right there.
Yeah, right.
Who will probably be on your bench. So he's very good. I mean, he had 13.3 points per game last season, and this is in just 14 games. He was the RB20. So that's pretty good. If he played full 16, he was probably going to finish around that RB14, RB15 range. He had more points per game last year than Melvin Gordon.
Yeah.
Then Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Oh, well, he was actually right behind Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He had more than Kenyon Drake.
Mm-hmm.
He had about the same as Kareem Hunt and Mike Davis. So he was in that range of like those RB2s and better than some of them. So and he didn't start for some of the like half the games he played. So again, if you know he's starting going into the week, he's a great play. And he's a solid late round value because if anything happens to Fournette, I mean he's gonna be really, really good.
I mean, I think like I said too, the unfortunate situation is that right now in redraft he's like a 7th round pick, which for me is still high.
That's still a bench player though if you draft the way we do.
Oh yeah. It's still a bench player or a low end flex option.
Right.
But I think the big thing is that it's a question of how many opportunities that he got, because last year he paced out at like 160. On the whole season, and there were games, it was just weird because there were games literally when he would have 17, 13, 20, 17, 23, 13, 23, 10, 18 carries. Then there were weeks where he had 7, 3, 9, and it was like he wasn't getting the work. And so like it's concerning when that happens, but there are going to be games and there are going to be times when he actually gets an opportunity to break out. And then you also you factor in the situation that Leonard Fournette's old as dirt, so
he really isn't actually as old as you think. He just seems like it.
I know.
But yeah, no, I think when both guys are fully healthy, they will. I mean, I don't know, because in the playoffs last year it was just Fournette, but it could have just been riding the hot hand. I think during the regular season it will be mostly Ronald Jones. Yeah, and he's the guy in that backfield to own, I think.
Okay, fair enough. I do want to say that just walk with caution. We're not telling you to.
These
run
are sleepers,
out. They are sleepers, and they're running back sleepers too. So it's like there is a chance that Ronald Jones does get a full complement of work, and he gets 30 to 40 catches, and he gets over 200 rushing attempts, right? And if he does that and he gets 240 opportunities on the season, then I think he's most definitely a guy that you want to snag and put on your team. But there's also a shot that because he's a sleeper, not because he's a sleeper, but he is a sleeper, so he might. What am I trying to say?
I don't know. What are you trying to say?
He might not get the opportunity that you want him to get because he's not if he was a bona fide RB1, and he was getting 200 opportunities and we knew that, and he was getting 50 catches and we knew that, he would be drafted in the first 4 rounds.
Oh yeah, of course. But that's why he's getting drafted.
Right.
In the 7th.
So, anyway, I wanted to try to see fantasy point per opportunity is 0.8. It's not
kind of gross.
Yeah, no, it's not the best, but it's better than Le'Veon Bell's career is like 0.7. So,
okay.
Yeah. So anyway, that's gonna be okay. But if he does get like 230 opportunities, and you multiply that by 0.80, he'll get about 184 fantasy points, which is like an mid-range RB2.
Yep.
Is that where?
Which is what he actually had more last year. He had 186 fantasy points.
So you definitely want to see him get a little bit more opportunity and get a little bit more efficient, but I think that you'll see that as time goes along.
Fournette is also a very injury-prone player who didn't get hurt last year. Or he did. I think he did, but it was like missed a single game.
Yeah.
So always keep that in mind.
This is a hard sell. It really is.
It is a hard sell.
It's a hard sell because because he's a 7th round pick that's just not like I said, go into sleeper and start your own little mock draft.
Running backs in that range that are just so gross,
and it's bad. Like let's talk. Wow, it glitched out on me. Hold on, let me reload this.
I mean, like, would you rather have Ronald Jones or like Chase Edmonds? And it's like, I don't know.
No,
at their
definitely.
ADPs, I would rather have Ronald Jones.
So but you have guys like
David Johnson or Ronald Jones.
David Johnson or Ronald Jones. You have Damien Harris or Ronald Jones as actually an okay one, but they still a little high.
Fournette, though, I would rather have Ronald Jones, as I just talked about. Over
right.
Fournette.
Zach Moss or Ronald Jones. Kenny Drake or Ronald Jones. Like at this point, if you were making a tiered list of running backs, like Ronald Jones is the guy that I would want to get. And if he doesn't work out,
I mean, even like would you rather have Melvin Gordon or Ronald Jones? Like I don't know.
Yeah, probably Melvin Gordon.
It probably is Melvin Gordon, but it's close. And Melvin Gordon's going in like the 5th round.
Yeah, so, that's kind of gross.
Yeah.
This guy, a little less hard to sell, is Mike. Wow, dude,
Mike Davis.
Mike
bro.
Davis. I was gonna say Mike Edmonds, and I was mixing two guys together. Now, Mike Davis last year. I think a lot of people are. Mike Davis is not a good running back. I'm just gonna preface this by saying that he's just not a good running back.
Bro, he's solid. He's solid. He's no prime Todd Gurley.
Now
but
I'm starting this. It's so funny because I'm starting this conversation by saying that he sucks. So the big thing about Mike Davis last year,
he was okay last year.
I think a lot of people
give him some credit.
Okay, my computer's pooping the bed over here. It's probably because I got the Bruins on.
That you haven't even shown me.
Sorry, hold on. I don't.
Yo! It's 1-0.
Anyway, yeah, no. So I think for me personally with Mike Davis, like there were opportunities for him last year to succeed, yes. But I wish my computer literally all the facts that I have on Rojo.
Let me
I mean on Mike Davis is crapping the bed.
Let me pull it up for you.
So anyway, Mike Davis is an old man. He got the opportunity last year with Carolina
and was decent.
Yeah, and when he started, he ended up with a paced out total of 202 rushing attempts, only 3.9 yards per attempt. And like I said, he's gross. He's not a good running back, but he had a lot of target share in the backfield, which is why he finished so high in fantasy football, because he had 63 catches. So they tried to use him like our good friend
Mr. Christian McCaffrey.
Christian McCaffrey. So I don't know that he's going to get that target share, obviously, with Atlanta. But what you are going to see him do, have success with, is Arthur Smith comes from Tennessee. We talked about this on the last program, and he is a run-first running coach.
Yeah,
he loves to run the football. And so what you're going to see from a guy like Arthur Smith is that if Mike Davis is the starter, he's going to try to give him 250 carries.
Oh, I don't know about that. I don't know about 250.
There's no one there.
Yeah. But, I mean, Arthur Smith, he does like to run the ball, and they will run the ball.
Yeah.
But he has said that with Atlanta, it's a little bit different situation than Tennessee.
Yeah.
And he will throw the ball more.
Like, there's an opportunity for that to happen because there's no one else, Rick. It's not
it's a possibility.
It's not like he can sit there and go, oh my God, we got a plethora of guys in our backfield.
I really like Hawkins, the undrafted rookie free agent, but he's undrafted.
Yeah.
So, and then I think the other guy they brought in was Cordell Patterson. So yeah, Mike Davis is going to be the workhorse. It's just like
how much workhorse is that?
Yeah,
gonna be?
I mean, but he's still good. Like look at what Todd Gurley did last year before he got benched essentially or injured or whatever happened to him. Like those first 9 games of the season, I believe Todd Gurley was like a top 12 running back last year.
Right.
And then if you remember correctly, we both told you to sell him, and then he fell off the mountain. So you can thank us if you did. Anyway. Mike Davis, so at that value, very, very good because if you look at the guys around him, he's probably the one at that ADP is the most guaranteed to be the quote-unquote workhorse.
Yeah.
Like Fournette and Ronald Jones, we just said we like Ronald Jones more. We like him there, but there's no guarantee. I mean, Fournette's going to have his days, right?
Yeah, right.
Damien Harris, I love Damien Harris, but it's the Patriots. They use multiple running backs. Zach Moss, we don't know how they're going to use that situation with Devin Singletary. You got the Cardinals, James Conner, Chase Edmonds. Mike Davis is as you said, the only guy in that backfield. Mm-hmm. So he will get the majority of the work for the Falcons running game. Yeah,
and like I said, I don't know if 250 is too much, but if they do want to ground and pound and do like you're talking about a team that ran it probably 400 times.
Yeah.
Just with the running back position. With Tennessee last year. And so if that's the approach that he's going to take with Atlanta, even if they split carries, like there's a good chance that he gets between 225 and 250 if he's the main guy and he doesn't get hurt.
Yeah.
So if that does happen, there's an opportunity for him to have success. He is a disgusting running back. He's not really that great. But if you're talking about a guy that you can get in the 8th round, I think it's a fine selection at that point. The next guy that we have is wrong list. Is Javonte Williams. Now this is a true dive because this guy's a 9th round pick, maybe somewhere in the 9th round.
This is a sleeper, bro.
8th, 9th round. So this is definitely a sleeper. You have Javonte Williams, who got drafted by Denver. We both see this as a situation where Javonte is going to be in a similar position or circumstance as a guy like J.K. Dobbins or DeAndre Swift last year.
Exactly.
Where they did not have the starting, or even Marlon Mack.
Jonathan Taylor, but it was a little different because Marlon Mack tore his Achilles week 1. So.
But you see Javonte Williams going into a situation where he is going to be most likely the backup on the team, and Melvin Gordon's going to get a majority of the work to start, and Javonte is going to have to earn his job.
Yep. At
some point, something's going to happen, something's going to switch, and Javonte will take over, and he'll end up being the main running back in that system. So I feel like it's a good draft selection because if you're getting a guy in the 8th, 9th round here,
A.J. Dillon or Javonte Williams.
I know Devin Singletary or Javonte Williams, Kenyon Drake or Javonte Williams, Tony Pollard, Naeem Hines. Like you go down the list. Like I'd rather take the risk
100%.
on the young running back who may not be the starter yet, but could give you a league-winning league-winning production towards the back half of the season if Melvin Gordon either A, gets hurt, or B, just gets beat out for the job.
Last season we saw Swift go in like the 5th round, and Dobbins go in the 6th round. Dobbins it took him a little later to be the starter because those guys stayed healthy. Mark Ingram stayed healthy most of the season, but he eventually took that spot and became the starter by like week 11, 12.
Yeah.
DeAndre Swift took the job even earlier. It was like week 7 or 8, right? Mm-hmm. Halfway through the season. And, God forbid, because I don't wish injuries upon anyone or anything, but Melvin Gordon does have an injury history. Last year did not get hurt. But when he was with the Chargers, he would get hurt a lot. Missed a lot of games all the time.
Average of 4 a season.
If he if
he gets hurt and misses any time.
If he tore his Achilles like Marlon Mack did last year, and he tore it right now, where would Javonte Williams be going? He'd be going in like the 3rd round.
Oh, yeah, 3rd round, 4th round.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, easily.
Yeah.
So, I think that value there is phenomenal.
Yeah, I think I would 100% agree, and I think there's really nobody else on the depth chart. Now, one of the interesting things that I did want to look at is, obviously last year is a okay indication of how they split the backfield. You obviously saw Melvin Gordon end as the RB13 in half PPR through that's 17 weeks. But I'm trying to see where Phillip Lindsay ended up on a points per game basis because I know he had a up and down season when it came to injuries. 5 points per game. Yeah. Yep. So I think he's going to get the Phillip Lindsay role to start, and he's going to have to earn the job. And then when he does earn the job, eventually Javonte's going to be a good pickup. But he's a guy that you have to draft 8th, 9th round, hold on to, allow a development period.
Yep. And he's going to be on your bench the first few weeks.
It's not going to be right away.
Remember, everybody was stressing about J.K. Dobbins all year, and then everybody was fighting for him at the deadline.
Yeah. So I feel like that could happen with Javonte. The next guy that we have, Michael Carter. He's a very interesting player. He was the draft capital is not there. So this is a guy that could be. I sound like who is it? Chris Collinsworth. No, this is a guy.
Now here's a guy.
But Michael Carter is a guy who I think could end up being really good with the New York Jets, but he doesn't have the draft capital to back it up. He was a 4th round, 2nd overall in the 4th round pick. And he has the size, the weight. He has some of the measurables to make things happen. He's got a comp of Devonta Freeman, which is okay.
I like that.
But there's another running back on the Jets roster called Michael P. Ryan, and he was drafted. I just want to. Okay, all right, it's not here. Let me just.
Are we really worried about Michael P. Ryan? Though?
No, but so here's the problem: is that there is a similar draft capital, 4th round, pick 14 in the 4th round, so 414. The big problem that I see here is that, and I'm not worried about Michael P. Ryan. I think that Michael Carter is talented. I think he's better than P. Ryan, and I think he's going to overtake
It's kind of
him.
like Akers and Henderson last year, right?
Yes. So I think that's what's going to end up happening is Carter's going to take that. But there's going to be a battle between these two as camp goes along and the preseason goes along. And if he does not end up overtaking LaMichael Pirine, I think he's going to have trouble keeping any form of job with the Jets, which means it ends up being a waste of a pick because these guys both do have the same draft capital. If Michael Carter was drafted early third, late second in that vicinity for the New York Jets, I would have a totally different opinion about this. This would be an automatic, easy, like, draft him. But if he was drafted there, Rick, he wouldn't be getting drafted at pick 118. Is that where he is? 128. So... like right now, he's an 11th round pick.
Yep.
And if you need a late round running back that you're going to wait all season to develop and they'll sit at the bottom of your bench, Michael Carter is a perfect guy for that because he could come out week 1 and he could just blow the doors off the league.
Yeah, I mean the Jets offensive coordinator and head coach Robert Saleh came from the San Francisco 49ers, so I think they're going to try to run a similar system where they are going to use multiple running backs, but they will try to run the ball, and I think they'll run the ball efficiently. They have Elijah Vera Tucker now, who was a lot of people's favorite guard coming into this draft, and they added Mekhi Becton last year, who was the best offensive lineman in that draft. So their left side could be very good now. So the offensive line is improved. It's potentially a running scheme. The only problem is they will use a lot of guys.
Right.
I think they'll give Tevin Coleman looks. They'll give Ty Johnson looks.
Yeah.
They'll give LaMichael Pirine looks, and they'll give Michael Carter looks. But I think of those 4 guys, I think we can both agree Michael Carter has probably the most talent.
Yeah, I agree
and I think
100%.
has a chance to outshine those other 3 guys.
Yeah, and I think I want to make a note too about LaMichael Pirine as well, is that he was in a class with a bunch of running backs that were really, really good. So he was drafted as like the, I don't know, I want to say like the 10th, 11th, 12th running back off the board, whereas you look at a guy like Michael Carter, and what was he, like the 5th, 6th running back off the board? So he was much higher in this class than Pirine was in last class, and I think that there is more talent there.
Yep. Yeah, I agree with that, and I think he has a chance to potentially be the starter, and if that happens, you're going to start a running back in the 11th round. I mean, and even if not, you're at that territory in the draft where worst comes to worst, like he's an 11th round pick.
Yeah. I brought up Kareem Hunt's player profile here just to reference that he was a 3rd round pick, so it was a little bit more valuable. But
322 though.
He ended up going 322, which is only like, I want to say 10 to 15 picks off.
Now I do
of
think
where,
Kareem Hunt is a much better running back than Michael Carter, though.
Yes, 100% agree. But I will say that he was able to come in. It was a situation where they thought that, I think it was Spencer Ware or somebody who was going to end up starting, and then the guy got hurt in training camp, and Kareem Hunt came in, and he ended up being ridiculously good. Now, this is a different situation. Obviously, with the Jets, they don't have a really good offense.
Yeah, much worse team.
Much worse team. You mentioned their improvements to the offensive line.
But just because it improved, it doesn't mean it's like top 5.
Right. Exactly.
It went from like one of the worst to maybe middle of the pack.
Right. So for Michael Carter, when you look at him, is that it's such a high value like 4th round pick that like it basically you could look at it as a 3rd round pick if you wanted to. But I just don't know. I don't know what you're going to end up getting from this guy. He could end up just taking the job, running with it, and there's no one there. Like, that's the thing. Is like, it's not like LaMichael Pirine is sitting there going, oh my God, I'm going to take every single piece of work, or they're going to split snaps. Like, somebody's going to win the job, and somebody's going to get 200 carries.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so if it ends up being Michael Carter, you want to be the guy with that. And at pick 128, this is a true sleeper. Like, this is one of those true value sleepers. Let's talk about the last guy here, so Rick can go watch a hockey game. Yeah. So this is a guy that Rick didn't want to put on the list.
Well, he's there's a lot of concerns, but it's okay. It's okay.
So James Conner is.
I'd rather have Trey Sermon. Just saying.
Okay, fair enough. I just didn't want to talk about. I totally agree.
Yeah.
You didn't want to drag. You were just hating on Trey Sermon.
Yeah, but things are changing, bro.
You know, what did I tell
Jeff
him?
Wilson's ACL.
So, James Conner, you literally roasted me when I said Jeff Wilson got hurt. You were like roasted me.
Did I?
Yeah, you were like, yeah, okay. I'm like, well, I mean, this is what happens in the 49ers backfield.
Yeah.
Honorable mention, Trey Sermon.
Okay.
But anyway, so Javonte Williams went pick 87. Pick 86 is James Conner. So you can get him in a 10-team league. You probably get him in the 9th round. In a 12-team, you're going to get him in the 8th, I think.
7th or 8th, yeah.
7th or 8th.
Late 7th or 8th.
I would say early 8th.
Yeah.
But so I mean that's a good value pick. The reason why I would say he's a sleeper at this point is because I don't have much expectations for him. But for me, James Conner is Chase Edmonds and Kenyon Drake are two very different running backs.
Yep.
And when you watch them play, like, you have to understand that you can't just look at them and be like, well, one's got to be a workhorse and one's not. They're two very different running backs. They like
can
to
play
use
different roles.
They can play different roles, and so Edmonds just isn't great on the ground. And I know some people might argue that, but he's okay pass catching. But they used him in a very specific role. Like, when you look at the numbers last year for Chase Edmonds, he wasn't getting the running work. He was getting a lot of pass catching work. And he was utilized in that way. James Conner is a very similar running back to Kenyon Drake. So they're bringing in a guy who is essentially coming in to fill the Kenyon Drake role. And I know a lot of people are going to look at the coach speak of the biggest liar in the NFL because he told everyone that he was going to keep Josh Rosen. Yeah, dude. He told everyone he was going to keep Josh Rosen and he wasn't going to draft a wide receiver and yada, yada, yada. The list goes on and on for Cliff. But yeah, he keeps talking about Chase Edmonds, and he's hyping up Chase Edmonds, and I think he's using that because he thinks somehow it's going to convince other coaches in the league that he's not going to use James Conner, and then he's going to use James Conner. So yeah, this is going to be the exact same situation as 2020, except James Conner is going to play the Kenyon Drake role. Now, I want to look up where Kenyon Drake finished because it wasn't great, but people were drafting Kenyon Drake, like myself, in the second round. So, I mean, that obviously you're going to get better production. Where the crap did he finish?
Dude, he was top 20, I think.
Was he top 20?
14.
Yeah, so Kenyon Drake finished with 179 fantasy points in half PPR through 15 games, averaged 12 points per game, and he had decent amount of opportunity and did pretty well. Now, James Conner has had injury concerns. Yep. He's had all kinds of different... He's had all the opportunity in the world, and he just hasn't taken advantage of it. And I think that they brought him in. They signed him to a deal to be Kenyon Drake, and they're both going to do the split work like they were last year. And if James Conner does get Kenyon Drake role and he plays like Kenyon Drake and can stay healthy, he could be a top 15 running back, or I'm not even going to go that far. He can be a top 20 running back. Yeah. So, and I think if you can get a top 20 running back as the like the 30th running back, 40th running back off the board, it is good value, and it's
he'll probably start falling down drafts a little bit too.
Yeah. So I give me your thoughts on James Conner, but I wanted to look something up.
Yeah, I get the argument. I think it's a good argument, which is why I'm not arguing against him on this list. I'm just so worried about the injuries, and I do think they like Chase Edmonds a lot. But yeah, James Conner gets hurt so much. But if they do use him in that Kenyon Drake role, he could be good, and he could have a lot of rushing touchdowns as well. His pass catching floor might not be there, but Drake was getting like 20 carries a game last year, close to it. So I think if James Conner does that, he can easily be a top 20 running back, which, as you said, is fantastic value at that spot. So it's okay. It's okay. Would rather have Trey Sermon, but but it's not bad though.
So right now, according to the contract situations for these guys, Chase Edmonds signed a 4-year contract. I don't know when this was. This is 2018, so he's probably on the back end of this. Is this a rookie deal?
That might be a rookie deal.
Okay, all right. So they're paying Chase Edmonds nothing.
Yeah, essentially
on a rookie deal, which is probably why they like to keep.
But they're not really paying James Conner much.
So
either.
James Conner he's getting $1.75 million in 1 year.
It's all guaranteed.
All guaranteed money. And he is also included a $500,000. I was gonna say $500 million. That's a big contract. $500,000 signing bonus. So they are paying James Conner about $2.5 million to stick around. And 1.75 of it is guaranteed money. And on the other side of it, you have Chase Edmonds, who's on a rookie deal, and is making, I would say, probably like just around $1 million. So, I mean, they did pay for James Conner to show up. It wasn't great.
It wasn't a lot, though.
It wasn't a lot.
You could probably get rid
guaranteed.
of it. Yeah.
Whatever. So, I mean, I just want to look up contract situation because I wasn't sure if...
Yeah, no, that's a valid thing to look up.
But it sounds like they're both at the same value. So, as far as like these running backs are concerned, I think James Conner is going to play Kenyon Drake's role. That's kind of where I'm at. He fits the bill. He's the exact same running back style-wise.
Yep.
So, anyway, there's your running back sleepers for the 2020 fantasy football season. Ronald Jones, Mike Davis, Javonte Williams, Michael Carter, James Conner. Get those guys on your team. I feel like the ADP is going to change and we're all going to get friggin' shafted. So I'm very concerned about that. But anyway, thanks for listening to the Fantasy Champions Fantasy Football Podcast. We'll see you Tuesday.
See you guys later.
Thank you for listening to the Fantasy Champions Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on iTunes and YouTube and follow us on Twitter @TheFFChamps.